Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bill. Today's video is going to be from the Call of Cthulhu Keeper's Guide. We're continuing the chase rules. We are on part 5 optional rules, and this is the second part in my videos of that. Where we last left off, we were getting ready to start with characters creating hazards. So let's start with that optional rule and keep reading what all's in this chapter. Characters creating hazards. Investigators, monsters, and non-player characters may create hazards or barriers through their actions during play. Doing so will usually require the expenditure of a movement action for the time required, a skill roll to achieve it, or both. The following ideas are examples of what might be attempted, and the keeper should judge each situation on its own merits. Pausing to secure a door with a bolt or key would cost 1 movement action but no skill roll. Pausing to secure a door using locksmith skill would require a whole chase round and a successful skill roll. Moving a heavy wardrobe against a door would require a strength roll and a movement action. Upending a fruit stall to cause a delay might only cost 1 movement action. Firing a gun to cause a crowd to panic would require a luck roll. If failed, the action causes more trouble than it's worth. If successful, the crowd presents a hazard for those following. Yelling "Stop, that man, he's a thief" at bystanders, hoping they might assist, would call for a fast talk or intimidate skill roll. And players may also take equally creative approaches to negotiating hazards. And that's that rule. Next is splitting up. Characters in a chase may choose to take different routes. If so, you now have an additional chase to track. So that can be annoying and fun. Monsters in a chase. The majority of monsters and animals act the same way as people in a chase. Some have abilities that may exempt them from certain skill rolls. For example, those that fly would not need to make a jump or climb roll. Many monsters, animals, and non-player characters will lack listed values for the various skills that might be called upon in a chase: jump, swim, drive auto, etc. In such cases, the keeper should use the following as a guide. When the monster or non-player character has an implied aptitude, use their dex in place of the skill. Where the monster or non-player character has an implied aptitude, use 1/5 of their dex in place of the skill, or simply rule the attempt to be an automatic failure. Where the monster or non-player character has neither implied aptitude nor ineptitude, use 1/2 of their dex in place of the skill. If other skills are required, the keeper might use a similar approach, using what he or she feels to be the most appropriate characteristics. For example, should you wish to determine the spot hidden skill of a particular monster, for whom there is no listed spot hidden skill, intelligence might be judged most appropriate for either its full intelligence, 1/2 of its intelligence, or 1/5 its intelligence, depending on how perceptive you feel the monster to be. Okay, next is fleeing the scene. You may have a scene in which you wish to gauge how far the investigators manage to flee in a limited time. The chase rules can be used for this, counting the number of locations moved within a specific number of rounds. Vehicular collisions. When skill roll to negotiate hazards has failed, the keeper must consider the cause and likely damage. Rate it against the left-handed column on table 5, vehicular collisions, page 147. If unsure, simply use the defaults of minor incident for a regular difficulty level hazard, moderate incident for a hard difficulty level hazard, or severe incident for extreme difficulty level hazard. The damage should also be rolled for each occupant of the vehicle involved in a collision, substituting hit points in place of build. Thus, a car that is a moderate incident suffers 1d6 points of damage, and each occupant in the car suffers 1d6 hit points of damage. Most collisions should also result in the delay as the vehicle skids or loses speed, costing 1d3 movement actions. Chases in the air and sea. Chases can take place in any environment, and the keeper should create new hazards and barriers appropriately. For example, at sea, rocks, shallows, buoys, waves, strong winds, etc. Or, for example, in the air, clouds, tall buildings, birds, cables, anti-aircraft fire, etc. Movement rates. The move rate is used as a measure of relative speeds. 1 point of move is significant in a chase. It allows for additional movement actions. And for this reason, the scale of move rating to speed is not linear. Each point of move equates with an appropriate increase of speed of around 50%. The move rate of a creature is not necessarily their maximum speed over a short distance, but is intended to represent their overall speed in a chase. For example, a world-class sprinter can achieve a move of 11 over 100 meters, but 12 miles per hour, movement 9, would be more realistic speed for a fit human over distance equating to a 5-minute mile. Chases with multiple characters. When running a chase with multiple characters, the only sufficient differences lies in the initial phase, establishing the chase. First, decide who is chasing whom and whether the fleeing characters are staying together or splitting up. If they split up, there will be multiple chases, and each chase should be tracked and resolved separately. Each character involved in a chase makes a speed roll using the drive auto or con to establish their move rate for the chase. Once this is done, list the participants of the chase in the speed order in which the two groups, pursuers and fleeing characters. Next, eliminate those not in the chase. Any fleeing characters who are faster than their fastest pursuer may escape the chase entirely if they wish to. Any pursuers who are slower than the slowest fleeing character are left behind and do not participate in the chase. The two groups are now positioned in order of their move rates. Place the pursuers, starting the slowest pursuer right at the back of the chase, then place each other pursuer a number of locations ahead of him or her equal to their differences in move speeds. Once all the pursuers are placed, move onto the fleeing characters. Place the fleeing characters. As with a one-on-one chase, position fleeing characters, the slowest one, 2 locations ahead of the foremost pursuer. Then place each of the other fleeing characters a number of locations ahead of the slowest fleeing character equal to their differences in move speeds. Position hazards. Note down any hazards, barriers, or other landmarks. Movement actions. Determine how many movement actions each character has. Determine dex order. List participants in dex order, fastest to slowest. And that is it for how to run the optional rules for Call of Cthulhu chases. Out of those, I would definitely use the multiple character ones. Vehicular collisions interest me because I don't do a lot of vehicular chases, but I don't do a lot of chases to begin with outside of Call of Cthulhu, so. But I would use probably most of these optional rules in my game. I might not use them all at once. I might introduce just a handful as my players get used to all the options and how chases go. I'd then put in a few more. And I would be open to what they're thinking, because if they wanted to create obstacles by doing stuff, like one of those optional rules say, then I would allow that even if we didn't agree to that before that chase began. So, well, until we all game again, guys.